Good morning, guys. I hope you're all well. Today, we're going to talk about pocket knives, specifically the 3 or 4 requirements that I have in a folding knife and how my search for the perfect pocket knife has gone thus far. But first, let's go on a little Sabbath Saturday walk, shall we? Have I said how much I love fall weather? Fall and spring, best time of the year around here. That's just objectively true. I don't care who you are or what you say. It just is the case. So I'm out here pretty good now. I walked about 2 miles off of my place on this ATV trail, trying to get in some training. October 19th, I have 3 nights in Raccoon State Park, staying in a cabin there, basically a house in the woods, which is my kind of clamping these days. But got to get the legs back. I haven't seriously day hiked since probably last winter, really. So I plan on putting on some real miles coming up here in a couple weeks. So just training the legs, enjoying the fall colors. So the one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is just how divisive everything is, how non-bipartisan everything has become, how tribal everything has become. And I just want to say, I think it's important many times in your life to do what I call like reframing of ideas. So often when ideas are framed in one way, it seems like the logical conclusion can only be one thing. But oftentimes we have cognitive biases, or we're just forced into this kind of false binary where we're forced to admit, when framed in such a way, that a thing has to be such a thing. I hope that makes sense, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately because everything has gotten so incendiary. For example, many of my more environmentally minded friends have said that we are addicted to oil. And in fact, I heard this exact same phrasing from Kurt Vonnegut, one of my favorite novelists, over a decade ago now. And it made me think, yeah, as a human species, we are dependent on fossil fuels. And if we were made to get off them, we would suffer withdrawal. That's an important framing. It is. It is. Many of our byproducts of petroleum, plastics and such are so vital to the day-to-day operation of our economy that it would be very difficult to imagine life without them. However, that's not the only framing, and it's not the only important framing. You could say that we're still merely burning stuff for energy, right? Cavemen discovered fire, they start burning wood, we start burning coal, we start burning oil. That's an important framing as well. But we could also frame it as we are discoverers of fossil fuels. And that's an important framing as well. We are essentially running our economy on dinosaur bones or on ancient fossilized plants, right? This boiled down resources that are so energy rich that it almost doesn't make sense for us not to use it. And right now, in this particular area in western Pennsylvania, they are drilling more than a mile down to the Utica vein in order to get to these natural gas pockets, which they know almost exactly where they are and exactly how much energy is down there in order to heat our homes. That's amazing. Right now, that airplane is flying through the sky on stuff that we drilled down into the ground to bring up and use for our energy purposes. That's friggin' amazing. It is. And that's an important framing as well. The point of this rant is not that one framing is correct and the other is wrong. The point of this is that these aren't the only two framings, and that we suffer from this bipolar thinking that we can't get around, and then we settle with one camp or the other and just revert to tribalism. I hope that makes sense. Don't give me a thumbs down. Don't give me a thumbs up. Just don't get stuck in this stinking thinking. All right, guys, I have 7 pocket knives here. These are by no means all the knives I own, but they are the ones I legitimately carry on my side to work every day, and there's reasons for that. And those reasons, those requirements, are what I want to talk about right now. Rule number 1, the steel has to either be powder coated or stainless. I work around water and I just won't tolerate rust, and I don't want to worry about maintaining my knives at the end of each day. Requirement number 2, I have to easily be able to open the knife with one hand and close the knife with one hand, which means either a cutout and a liner lock or a thumb stud and a liner lock. That's just what I prefer. So that eliminates a good portion of knives that are out there yet again. Requirement number 3, I need to be able to easily retrieve it with one hand. As we said, open it and close it with one hand, but also put it back with little effort with one hand. So for requirement number 4, we're going to be taking a closer look at the blade. For me, I prefer a cutting edge that comes all the way down to the handle, or almost all the way down to the handle. So while this buck passes all my other requirements, it fails on this one because of this choil or whatever this is supposed to be. I like to do a lot of the heavy lifting right here on a knife. So, as you can see, I think from the state of this knife, my absolute favorites are the Spydercos that come all the way down into the handle. All right, requirement number 5, size matters. For me, for an everyday carry, this big guy is a little bit too big, and this little guy is a little bit too small. All right, last and certainly not least, it has to be under $60. I know, but have you seen the state of some of my knives, guys? These things get used and abused, and I use them for all sorts of reasons that are way outside of their design purposes. So I can't justify spending $100, $150, even $200 on a knife that's going to look just like these after a few months' use. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. I don't want to beat your ear any longer, but I do want to say a few closing remarks. First, notice I don't have any steel requirements. I don't really know anything about steel, and I don't really care. All of these knives, given the way I use them, are going to have to be sharpened fairly regularly, and I would rather that be easier than harder. Needs to be stainless or powder coated. Other than that, I don't care. The other thing to note is I have no brand loyalty, really. You might notice that there are 2 Spydercos here. That's only because I found that they meet all of these requirements. Oh, I almost forgot. I don't really care about the grind or blade shape either. Some of them are full flats, some of them are saber grinds, some of them have much more of a belly and a thin point, which I do worry about as I do a lot of picking at plaster with it, but I don't really care, so that's not a limitation for me. And finally, I'm making this video not to tell you what the perfect pocket knife is, but to ask for help. As I said, I'm not really a knife guy, so I suspect that there's some people out there that are watching this video that know of many more knives that fit all these requirements, and I'm asking you guys for help. Put links in the doobly-doo below if you would, or at least a name and a model so I can track it down. I appreciate it immensely, guys. Until the next time, stay safe, get out there in the woods, have some fun.